Good evening. Coming up tonight, we'll fill you in on what's happening in and outside the Palmetto State. There's a Green Street tailgate and music bingo next week.
And South Carolina football is facing a tough test at home this weekend.
But first, some updates on the aftermath of Hurricane Helene.
We'll have all that and more tonight on the Sumter Street Scoop. Welcome to this week's Sumter Street Scoop. I'm Ducan Maloney.
And I'm Karenna Porter. Thanks for joining us tonight.
After Hurricane Helene blew through the southeast this weekend, the University of South Carolina was battered hard, with many changes being made at the university to cope in the aftermath. The rains and winds hit heavy last Thursday, with flooding and power outages hitting all across South Columbia. Many classes were moved to remote or canceled on both Thursday and Friday. The university kept the Thomas Cooper Library open for 24 hours earlier this week and also kept the second floor of the Russell House open for 24 hours, with some sections of the Gamecock Park food options having food available for every hour of the day. Across South Carolina, flooding and trees across roads were some of the immediate impacts, and there are still over 500,000 people without power in the state of South Carolina, with solutions possibly not coming until next week. Crews were out and about all across campus gathering the brush and branches that littered many of the walkways across the Columbia campus in the days following the storm. Fallen trees, flooding, and internet issues were a theme across Columbia in the aftermath of Helene.
USC's Board of Trustees approved renovations on McKissick Museum, Barnwell College, and the Russell House Bookstore on Friday. They are the latest plans approved from the USC Next Master Plan. The board approved adding classrooms, study spaces, a cafe, and a patio to McKissick. The renovation will reduce the size of Russell House Bookstore to allow more room for the dining area. Barnwell College, constructed in 1910, will be modernized. The renovation tackles Barnwell's outdated fire suppression system, electrical system, plumbing, and interior. President Michael Amarita said, quote, "The bottom line in one sentence is that we are thriving," end quote. I think this is super interesting, especially those renovations they're doing on McKissick, because I don't feel like it's really utilized by a lot of students right now.
Definitely going to relieve some pressure on other areas around campus.
I agree. Coming up after the break, SGTV weather reporter George Bagwell has this week's forecast. You don't want to miss it. Stay with us.
Welcome back, everybody. I'm George Bagwell. Here's your look at tonight's forecast. All across the eastern seaboard, we have partly cloudy, partly sunny weather forecast today. 84, 82, Columbia, Atlanta. Once you get down to Miami, Florida, it's going to get hotter, 90 degrees. If you're in New Orleans and you're a duck, great news, it's raining. In the Midwest, Oklahoma City, Houston, it's heating up to 90 degrees. Chicago, St. Louis, it's hot temperatures for October, 75, 79, that's crazy. Minnesota, you got some clouds. Looking over in Phoenix, y'all got like 106 degrees today, which is actually insane. Glad I'm not there. Seattle, Boise, a little bit cooler. But in Columbia, around 78 degrees. 7 p.m. today, partly cloudy. Nothing on the UV index. Don't gotta worry about any type of sunscreen tonight. Humidity down to 62%. That's a little bit muggy. If you go out, it's gonna feel like wet. Winds about 3 miles an hour east. Slight breeze, you know, nothing serious. Feels like 81. It do. I was outside a few minutes ago. And then this week, Friday, feeling a little bit cloudy. Tomorrow, 82. If you want to walk your dog, that's great. If you want to walk your cat, that's great. If it's got legs, you got a leash, walk it. Saturday, partly sunny. Sunday, partly cloudy. I don't know the difference between the two, so I kind of split 50-50. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesdays, great news, sunny all around. And then look at that, Wednesday, 53 for the low. That's insane. Turn on the heater. First time I'm saying that in like 6 months. After the break, SGTV sports anchor Pflugrath has the update for all things Gamecock athletics.
Thanks, George. Now to talk about how South Carolina athletics are doing as we head into the month of October. First things first. This Saturday features South Carolina's biggest football game of the season so far as the Gamecocks take on number 12 Ole Miss. The Gamecocks are looking to carry their momentum from their 50-7 victory over Akron 2 weeks ago and potentially launch themselves into the top 25 with another win this Saturday. while the Rebels, on the other hand, are hoping to move on from their loss last week against Kentucky. In contrast, the Gamecocks beat Kentucky with a 31-6 victory, and this will lead to an interesting matchup this Saturday. Jackson Dart's offense ended up racking more yards against Kentucky, but it was the Gamecocks' defense that held Kentucky to almost half as many yards. While both teams had vastly different games, what matters is this Saturday. Lenora Sellers is slated to start for South Carolina Saturday afternoon as kickoff takes place at Williams-Brice at 3:30 p.m. Now, if you're looking for a South Carolina team and don't want to wait till next week till somebody's ranked, look no further than USC's women's soccer team. Head coach Shelly Smith has the Gamecocks ranked 24th in the country with their 5-1-4 record. Their only loss being from number 1 Arkansas this past Sunday. The Gamecocks also hold the status of being the only team in NCAA women's soccer to have 2 players in the top 10 for goals and assists. Team veteran Kat Berry being in both categories. But the 5th-year senior is not the only one having a great season, as freshman Katie Shea Collins also boasts some significant numbers. Collins is the only freshman in the top 10 for goals scored and has only played 5 games this season. The Gamecocks will be in another SEC matchup tomorrow as they take on Vanderbilt at 8 p.m. Now, Anna Machado is in the studio to fill us in on local entertainment. Anna, what's going on?
Thanks, Pflugi. While here in Columbia, we are still recovering from Hurricane Helene, a few events are coming up in the next couple weeks to get excited for. Before the football game against Ole Miss on Saturday at 3:30, we have a tailgate on Green Street from 12 to 2 p.m. Make sure to stop on your way to the shuttles for free food, stickers, and games. Sponsored by SAPE, the Substance Abuse Prevention and Education Program here at USC. Students who love food and music, look no further, because next week on October 8th, there's a music bingo night at Village Idiot at 5 Points. From 9 p.m. to 12 a.m., test your knowledge, grab a slice of pizza, and show off to your friends. Make sure to stay tuned these next upcoming weeks as we get into the spooky Halloween season. Events such as Spookathon, A Quiet Place Day 1 showing, and USC Scream are all creeping up onto the event calendar. After the commercial, Karenna and Ducan will return to tonight's news wrap-up.
Welcome back. President Biden landed in the Greenville-Spartanburg Airport yesterday to survey damage in the Carolinas caused by Hurricane Helene. Senator Lindsey Graham's office said the president was in the upstate yesterday to see the damage caused by the hurricane. Biden met with the South Carolina Governor Henry McMaster and Greenville Mayor Knox White before taking an aerial tour of western North Carolina. Vice President Kamala Harris will visit Georgia later this week.
If you're waiting for any packages, you might have to wait longer than expected. This Tuesday, dock workers from Boston to Houston began a multi-day strike, including the nearby ports of Charleston and Savannah. Tens of thousands of workers took to the streets to strike for better wages and the ongoing fight against automation in the industry. The Union of Workers has not had a strike in nearly 50 years, but reached a breaking point during contract negotiations with the ports. A similar conflict was resolved last year with ports on the West Coast, a conflict that was won by the workers who received significant wage increases. Most major companies are able to relieve some stress by having storage backed up, but if the contract is not soon resolved, it will become a problem come holiday shopping season. Hopefully, for my Amazon shopping cart, this is solved rather quickly in the next couple of days.
Yeah, I think it will be, and if it's not, we'll just go from there and hopefully give you an update in the upcoming weeks. That wraps up tonight's episode of Sumter Street Scoop.
Be sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook at SGTV at USC.
To keep up with all of our content, be sure to also visit us online at sgtv@usc.com. For SGTV, I'm Karenna Porter.
And I'm Duncan Maloney. Have a great night, Carolina. Forever to thee.